hands up. I'm a mum, and as much as I love my son, maybe I've been caught up in the rat race. The people that you haven't really been in contact with through COVID, those people need to go.
Anyway.
Big Boris,
yeah.
You've got lots of for. My head's puddled. It's given me a chance to put a magnifying glass on my life and see how I spend my time. Hi, we are back. My name is Ampika Pickston.
And my name's Dianne Swaine.
So I've really missed you guys. I feel like it's been ages since I've connected with you. I just want to say a big shout out, and I hope that you are all looking after yourselves and looking after your well-being. We haven't really got a specific topic as such. I didn't want to go on too much about COVID because I'm sure you are sick of picking up newspapers, switching on the television to feel really deflated that we're not seeming to come out of this, and there doesn't seem to be light at the end of the tunnel at this moment in time. So I just want to share really my experience of what I've been doing through COVID and how I've been trying to look after myself. Diane's going to speak quite a bit about some of the reoccurring themes that she's done counselling with a lot of people, clients nationwide, through Zoom, through Skype, and personal one-to-one counselling sessions. So there has been a lot of people that have struggled throughout this process, and that are still really struggling with their mental health and well-being. So I'm going to share some of my experience, my tips. Dianne will talk through her top 10 tips, how to look after yourself and overall boost your mental health and well-being. So I'll start with myself. That sounds very egotistical, doesn't it?
No.
So COVID's been a really, well, for a lot of people, quite a bizarre place to be in. It's like a space that we don't quite know where we're at. We don't quite know the end result. And I think it's sometimes not knowing, you end up living in fear, and fear gives us anxiety. Fear makes you nervous. It makes you doubt yourself, and you kind of like feel you're disarmed, like you've lost your strength. On a negative side, my business has really suffered. I've got two businesses. I've got a slimming business, which really fluctuates because people don't know, obviously, where their jobs lie. So buying a slimming product or slimming aid isn't a luxury. It isn't a necessity. So do they really want to part with their hard-earned cash on a slimming product? But then a lot of people put weight on in lockdown. So my business has been up and down in terms of slimming, and my hair and beauty has really struggled from being forced to close by the government. A lot of our clients don't want to come back into a hair salon, and they haven't got the social occasions and events to actually go to. So most of my staff that are self-employed haven't been able to pay their rent, or have wanted to come back on a very reduced rent, which has made it really difficult for me because obviously I'm still a business. I've still got rent and my bills and overheads to pay. So I can't see light at the end of the tunnel with that one, to be honest. I've kept my business afloat. It's been great that the government has given you some type of cash back, but long term, that's not going to be enough to pay my rent, and to make sure that I can offer those facilities throughout the period of me being signed into a lease. So that's been quite problematic, as I'm sure that you guys have got a lot of financial exposure and insecurities with the future and the future of your jobs, or like similar in my business, your business has really suffered, which does have an impact on your mental well-being and mental health. And Dianne will talk and share tips on things that you can do you can't cure that pain, but you can definitely try and work on yourself, and you have to go through it, don't you? It's a process that you have to go through. On a more positive note, speaking from a personal aspect, it's kind of like slowed down the hands of time. So we live in a very fast-paced society where everything is disposable, everything's at your fingertips electronically. We are in this cyber tech world where whatever you want, whatever stimulates you, you can get. And almost you end up you're running away from yourself, aren't you, I find. And COVID has really put a magnifying glass onto what is important to me. And I hold my hands up. I'm a mum, and as much as I love my son, maybe I've been caught up in the rat race of working hard and putting my business first and not putting the things that are important in my personal life first. And COVID's given me a really good chance to have family time with my ex-husband, spend a lot more time with my son, start to fall in love with my home again, actually do DIY and enjoy the simplest of things. even having the restaurants being closed and making everything, even the simplest of meals at home, I have really, really enjoyed. It's given me a chance to put a magnifying glass on my life and see how I spend my time, and making sure that when I come out of COVID, or even now, that I'm doing things that I enjoy, that give me some stimulation and some happiness. And that's what COVID's done. So out of the sad things that have come through COVID, for me, I've always got to take the good points, not just the bad points. The good points for me are, it's highlighted what actually makes me happy, and it's the simplest of things, and it's my relationship with the people that I love, that are closest to me. I don't always give them that much time, I don't always make them a priority, but COVID's given me a chance to readdress my life and restructure my life so I can concentrate on what's important, and that has boosted my well-being tenfold. Work is fantastic, it's great going to work, it gives you a sense of achievement, sense of empowerment, but I don't get as much of a thrill as when I'm actually spending time with people that I love and care for. So for me, in a nutshell, there's a downside to COVID, but there's also been a great side where I've done a lot more self-growth, self-development. There's been nowhere else to go. I can't keep running. Face your own demons, I suppose, in your own mind, and concentrate on what's important, and getting rid of people that aren't necessary. If you actually look through your phone and you look through the people you've been in constant contact with, the people that you haven't really been in contact with through COVID, those people need to go, in my opinion. You know, a lot of people, you send a text message to, and you might see now and again, but if you've not contacted someone throughout the majority of COVID, there's a reason. You don't need to keep them in your life. It's just an added distraction. It's just time and energy out of your week, and to be honest, we've only got so much time and energy, so focus on what's important. I've got a golden rule, and I say that I can't concentrate on more than 5 things in my life, and if I do, I'm pulled to the limits, I'm stretched, I'm literally on the floor. I haven't got the capability to juggle more than 5. And sometimes I'll put my thumb down and I'll say, concentrate on 4 and leave a little bit of energy left if there was number 5 to pop up. And those things are, obviously, my son comes first and foremost. My business is a second. My third is my friendships with people. The 4th one, which is really important, is myself. And if I've got time for a relationship, I'll say this one would be a relationship. I'm not currently in a relationship at the moment, but if I was, I've got just enough things to master and conquer in those 5 aspects. Any more than that, I cannot deal with. So every time I'm looking at like what I'm doing in my day, or how I prioritise what I want to achieve in a month or in a week, it's always, I go back to my 5 rule. I've got so much energy for those 5 things. Over to you, Dianne.
Thank you. Thanks, Ampika. As Ampika said, it's great to be back. We've got so much to talk about, and we've got a limited time each week. So if I can just set the scene, because moving forward, what we really want to do is obviously hear from everybody out there, don't we?
Yeah.
About things that you need help with. One of the last things we finished off, one of our last YouTubes was all about grief. And we had so many grateful comments about that. And I think that we never could have predicted, I think, how much that would have come into play during COVID through people's loss in lots of different ways. I lost my mum during COVID, not to COVID, but it was an enormous shock. But what I've done with that is that's helped me to help other people even more actually understand much more what they're going through. So as Ampika says, what we want to try and do is look at the positives as well as the difficulties that people have been struggling with. So what I'm going to do is just run down both sides of things, positive and negative, and then I'm just going to finish off with the things to focus on to help people move forward in isolation, self-isolation, or when we still don't really know what the rules. I still don't understand all the rules.
Oh, I don't.
I'm getting confused every single day. People ask me all the time, and I'm trying to help clients with certain rules, but I don't fully understand them myself anyway.
Big Boris,
yeah.
You've got lots to answer for. My head's puddled. I don't even pick up the newspapers. I don't even watch the news anymore.
No, it's difficult, and the absolute top tip from us to you is to don't watch the news actually, and to just get the snippets, the highlights of like 5 new rules. But in terms of a drain and a cause of anxiety, the news is absolutely number one. There's no question about it. So I would say ban news from the household. That's my kind of top tip. So throughout the YouTubes and in the coming weeks as well, some of the real difficulties we want to focus on will be things around divorce, anxiety, panic attacks, relationship issues, obviously loss, bereavement, isolation, and as Ampika touched on before as well, financial difficulties. Whether we have a lot or a small amount, it's all relative. That if we lose a lot of a small amount, it impacts us hugely, and if we have a lot and lose a huge amount, it impacts people differently. We can never judge a book by its cover, can we? And the financial implications of the last 6 months has been horrendous for so many people, and that has obviously touched on mental health dramatically. So we want to talk about that. On a positive note, we want to talk about the wonderful family time that we get, how we reconnect with people, how we pick people up out of isolation and see the joy at how we can connect with them to alleviate loneliness, etc. Realising, I think, how little we can live with and live on, all the creams and the nails and the hair and but we just don't need it.
I've done my own black nails.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
All the stuff people say to me, I didn't realise how little I needed, other than the love of our family and our friends and our gorgeous animals, and that I think has been a fantastic realisation through the last 6 months amidst all the difficulties. So we want to sort of celebrate that and talk more about that, and appreciating the small things in life, walking the dogs, looking at the tree, the colours on the trees, speaking to people, albeit behind masks, etc., but having that wonderful eye contact with people and just having a different type of connectivity, really. And then in terms of how we get to a better place, there's 5 or 6 absolute key things that we want to help you with. We won't have time to do all of that today, but that's moving forward what we want to look at. And Ampika and I obviously want to hear from you. Send in anything, emails, text messages, Instagram comments, anything. Ampika and I will be picking those up daily, and we'll be focusing on you, because this YouTube channel is about helping you, all of you. We're going to be looking at diet and how we cook much better. I've learnt to cook a lot more because I was a rubbish cook before. And the balance in that, exercise, how we do that, whether it's doing something in the privacy of our own home, the garden, etc. We want to look at goal setting and routine, because when we are anxious, when we are distracted, when we don't know where we're going and we've lost that sense of purpose, as lots of people have through COVID, we obviously want to look at goal setting and helping you with that, because when we goal set and when we monitor something, we are 90% more likely to actually do that. Like if we monitor our weight or what we're eating, etc., we're more successful. So we want to help you with that and getting a routine back in our life, because obviously routine goes out of the window when we're all working from home, and we've kind of that routine of daily life has changed. And then finally, things to do with socialising and how we connect with people. It's a new world for all of us. It's gorgeous now being able to sit face to face again, and although with social distancing, but just to be in the same room as people. But there's so many other ways, for vulnerable people who are still really afraid to connect with people. There's the telephone, there's emailing, there's Zoom, there's Skype, Microsoft Teams. There's so many different ways we want to help you connect with people so that you do not feel lonely and isolated, and bringing you back into that society, the community, whether it's your neighbour, your friends, your family. Ampika and I are going to help you reconnect and rebuild that connection with people.
Yeah. So what we really want to do is we want to form like a family, don't we?
Absolutely.
So every Sunday night, whatever you're doing, whether you're in the bath or you're getting ready for the school run on Monday, or you're just preparing all your clothes, doing the ironing, whatever you're doing, every Sunday without fail, we will be posting our YouTube video and also putting our podcast on Spotify. So feel free, no matter how big or small your problem may be, we'd love to hear from you, because you will scope and steer our channel to be the best it can be. And ultimately, it's down to how you're feeling and what you need help with. So please click on the subscription button. Anything you want to talk about. Thank you, Dianne, for sharing those top tips, looking after people. But we are going to go into more detail of setting a routine, because you know yourself ultimately. If you are feeling really stressed, full of anxiety, you're struggling to cope with everyday life, there is a reason for it. And sometimes when you're feeling that low, it's difficult to see light at the end of the tunnel, and it's also difficult to really pinpoint the cause of those problems. You have to do a lot of soul searching, and we're here to help you do that.
Yeah, and I think just to finish off, one of the things you talked about was the anxiety. And for my clients, you know, anxiety obviously and stress has been the biggest issue really, and it's worth remembering that anxiety is a fear, is a symptom of fear, and through understanding what we're really fearful of, then obviously we can release and get rid of the anxiety, which create all those horrible symptoms that so many people fear. You know, it's finding out what that underlying fear is, and that's what we want to help you with as well.
So just before we sign off, ladies and gentlemen, just remember 2 things, and I want you to do this right now. Well, not right now, because if you're driving, it's not a good idea. But if you're watching this, or if you're at home or in a safe place where you can let your hands be free, I want you to put one hand on one shoulder and one hand on the other and give yourself a little squeeze, because you're worth it, yeah? And if you're not going to do it, I'm going to virtually do it to you. Mwah. Have a lovely evening, guys, and catch us next week.
Bye. Take care.